particularly stable. It has an amazing flat floor, as you can see. But if you go into some of the further reaches of the cave, there are areas of instability. But generally these caves, because they're formed absolutely natural and they're not man-made, because man tends to disturb the equilibrium of the strata, but these caves have formed naturally and they are naturally stable. They are in a state of equilibrium. This cave is known as Wadum. Now the name Wadum comes from, it's a Basawa name, meaning stone throat. And it's obviously named after the entrance to the cave, which is a very narrow slot between two sheer sides of rock, which you actually go down to get access to the cave. It's not a particularly big cave, but it's an incredibly spectacular cave. It has an amazing array of formations, and the amazing thing about these formations is that they are all alive and active. Whereas a lot of the caves, like the neighboring Gchwihaba cave, the formations are old and they are dead, and for the most part, they are no longer growing. But in this cave, if you look up at these formations, you see a sparkle of little droplets of water. And the difference in the formations, you have flowstone coming down the walls, you have columns standing, you have delicate formations hanging from the roof in masses. It's absolutely incredible. And then you have the minerals which have permeated through the strata, and they've colored the rocks in various ways. So it's not just white formations you see. You see formations with color in them, you see white formations, and you see incredible things known as helictites. Now, helictites are strange things that grow on these formations, and they grow in random patterns.
On the other hand, these caves are said to be of benefit for scientific research.
The evaporative process that then takes place inside the cave, the water drips and evaporates off, and it deposits the calcium carbonate, and hence the stalactite forms downwards, the stalagmite forms upwards, and eventually these two grow together. But calcium carbonate in its natural form is white. That's why they are principally white. But the coloration that you start to see in it, you see this yellowy, almost butter-colored pigment, if you like, in the formation. That has come through other chemicals from the surface, from the strata, going in with the water that comes into the cave.
My colleague Roger has been mentioning we have drilled open caves. Now, before we drilled them open, we can actually refer to them as cavities. Cavities locked and isolated below ground. But the moment you drill them open, whether it being natural or man-made, and you can enter those caves or those cavities, we refer to them as caves. If we consider the Gchwihaba caves, there's really a vast array of potential in terms of scientific research. Well, for a start, as I've mentioned, we have a number of species, invertebrates, that we think at the moment are new to science, and some of them have already been confirmed. And what is even more interesting is that some of these species are even higher classifications. So we have confirmed a new genus of a pseudoscorpion or a false scorpion that are only found in these caves. And what is really interesting about these organisms is they show adaptations to dark life where there's no sunlight present. So they have deep pigmentation and they don't have any eyes. They have lack of eyesight because they survive only in these dark environments. Now, other finds that are particularly unique to these cave systems are ancient skeletal material, bones of a leopard, and we have done preliminary investigations, and thus far it is revealed to us that these bones are more than 40,000 years old, and that's very old. And indeed, and what Roger also mentioned was that there are cave formations that we have so far concluded are completely unique to these caves, or to these caves. They have never been before seen in other cave systems. Yes, definitely. Well, the thing is, if you were to explore these caves, it would be highly recommended that you are accompanied by someone that has done it before, that know these cave systems. If we go into a cave for the first time, we are extremely careful and take great caution in what we do and where we travel. And we have certain methods, gas meters and so forth, to detect the levels of CO2. And we travel in the cave by doing that. But if you were to summon to visit these caves, just to really explore them on the upper levels, the safe levels, you would be in no danger at all.
The listing of the Zodilo Hills as one of the World Heritage Sites and the nomination of the Okavango Delta has not only contributed in the growth of Botswana's tourism sector, but has also made the country known to the rest of the global community. These sites and other natural resources in the country continue to attract tourists and foreign investors to Botswana.
There is very little evidence of the caves actually being occupied by humans. It seems to be quite honest, that the local peoples preferred to live outside of the caves, and whereas in a lot of caves one would normally find pot shards and an evidence of habitation, in these caves there has been little found, if anything, I believe. And of course we're referring principally to the Gchwihaba cave, which is this one here, and then Bone Cave and Blue Cave. Now those are the caves with natural entrances. So if anybody was going to occupy those caves, it would be those three caves. The other caves that we have discovered, of course, are at the bottom of boreholes with no natural entrances. So obviously humans would never have been able to get into those caves.
And when you talk about tourism, we are doing well in Botswana with our tourism. And we know South Africa is very, very proactive in promoting tourism in their country. So when we take the two, we see that why is it that we as Botswana can do well in tourism and maybe in a way outperform others in the same sector, is because we've got things which are unique to this country. And that's why we follow closely the International Doing Business Index to make sure that we improve our ratings, as we have started doing from time to time, and to be able to bring up something that is unique to Botswana, which will attract such investors.
Surely Gchwihaba caves have to count among the top wonders of the world.